Blog Talk Radio.
The spine has secret passageways. Secret passageways to the subtle dimensions of life. Attend simultaneously to the area around your tailbone as vibrating with luminous space, and to the spine as a channel gushing with radiant spaciousness. The ecstatic energy of that emptiness will surge through you and carry you into the world beyond all thought. From the Radiant Sutras. Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome to another conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. This is Chrism, and I would like to now welcome the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts, Her Holiness Incarnate, Santara. Hello, Santara.
Hello, Chrism. Thank you for that introduction. Hello, listeners. It is good to be here again on another Wednesday with Chrism and with all of you in the chat room. We have some guests after joining us, and you're all very welcome. Please, if you would let us know, is the sound okay? Is my voice okay? And is Chrism's voice coming through okay? That's much more important to know. So you're all very welcome. I'll begin by saying where people can go to if they would like to make a donation to support the Kundalini Awakening Systems program, to support Chrism in the work that he does for Kundalini people. Here is the address. It's www.ascension-kundalini.blog. I'll start again. www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And on the right-hand side, you will see a donate button, and it's very easy to donate after that. So again, please know that donations are not required, are not even expected, but if you are in a position to do so, they are very, very, very much appreciated. So that is ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. Thank you, Chrism.
Well, thank you.
Looking forward to the show.
Thank you, Amelia. This Kundalini program that is brought to you by the Kundalini O'Connors in the county of Cork and Kerry in Ireland. And I just want to right now say thank you to John and Amelia for putting this show together and allowing this show to exist for over a year and a half, which is about how old we are, everyone. So we've been doing this almost every week for about a year and a half now. Today's program is about Kundalini detoxifications and how this may affect you, what you might expect to feel emotionally, physically, everything from what you may experience with regards to Kundalini symptoms, or what the physical symptoms are, what maybe some of the psychological symptoms are. I'm going to move my noisy chair here. Okay. All right. And before we get started with that, though, I would like to let people know that we can, if you like the videos, the video form of communication, you can go to the YouTube network, and on the YouTube search little box they give you. Type in Chrism Kundalini, and this will take you straight to the over 300 videos that I have waiting for you to peruse. So you might want to check that out. We also have groups in the Yahoo networks and the Facebook networks. These groups in Facebook are called Kundalini Awakening ! Kundalini Awakening Systems 2 Facebook group again. Kundalini Healing, a Facebook group. And Kundalini Radiance Community, on Facebook as well. On the Yahoo network, we have Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo Groups, Kundalini Healing at Yahoo Groups. We also have Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 Tantra and Kundalini Virgins, but those groups aren't being utilized so much these days. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get this conversation started. In the middle of this, I would like to invite Rosemary and Eileen on for some of the announcements that they may have. Kundalini infusion will often displace aspects of the human system that the Kundalini doesn't consider useful to the awakening process in the person. This can manifest many, many different ways. There are actually 5 major areas where this can manifest, and 7 minor areas, and then about millions and millions of first degree sub-level manifestations of Kundalini detox. The detoxification commonly, one of the most, there's 2 things. When the Kundalini comes in and it displaces, shall we say, negative thoughts or negative feelings or entity-based programming or societal-based programming that it doesn't feel is conversant with the Kundalini agenda, well, it will begin to eject those thoughts, feelings, and experiences and sensations from the body. And I'm going to do what Santara just did, and I'm going to ask the online users in the chat room, is my voice coming through okay? I don't want to start this out with a bad connection here. So Mike or Linda or Fast G or Julie, can you let me know if it's coming through okay? Sounds good, Mike? Thank you. All right, good. I just noticed that. I thought, oh, geez, here I am talking to no one. Thank you, Fast G. Okay, very good. Thank you, Julie. All right. A common detoxification symptom is also associated with expansion, and that is the headache that a person gets around the third eye if they're doing, say, too much of a certain type of Kundalini generative practice, such as pranayama or qigong or different forms of yoga with Bhastrika breathing. Never ever do Bhastrika breathing. Let the Kundalini manage its symptoms within you. Don't you go out and try to light that fire by breathing through your lungs at 1,000 miles a minute. To some degree it is okay, and for especially if the Kundalini is counseling you to do that or giving you that symptom. But don't just initiate Bhastrika, which is taught in so many places. It just amazes me. I would love to know what percentage of Bhastrika users end up in the psych ward. Anyway, Bhastrika, for those of you who don't know that phrase, is also known as breath of fire, where you breathe in and out of the lungs, at a certain pattern at a very rapid rate, and it's also called bellows breath. And if you run into those teachings on the internet or from your teacher, from your friend or somebody, don't do that for Kundalini. You don't need to do that for Kundalini. Okay, that can awaken it, but it awakens it in a way that is really, really, really heavily detoxed. In other words, it loosens a lot of grime, severe levels of grime out of your system, kind of at the same time. And you don't need that. Really, it just confuses and scares you, and it can really begin to damage and scar your psychology because of the amount of detox coming through. And, of course, this is what would take a person to the psych ward. So don't do those heavy, chronic, burgeoning exercises, because blowing out a chakra, or something of that level is not a happy thing. You don't need to do that. Keep your body healthy. Keep your energetic body healthy, all 5 of them, and don't rush headlong into Kundalini. And if you have a teacher that's pointing you into the direction of rushing headlong into Kundalini, walk away from that teacher. Sounds, really, take a moment and think about this. Why are you reaching out towards Kundalini? Is it just for the happy, joy? Well, it has a whole other side. Happy, joy is pretty much the side that I like to focus on too, to be honest. But I do tend to stay in the balanced rim or the edge of both areas. But within the context of an early awakening Kundalini person, you don't need to bombard the chakras with these types of pranayama exercises. So I will advise against that. For those of you that do sometimes do that, and you get a big charge. Let's say you do the Tibetans 5 times a day. Too much Tibetans. That's going to end up possibly giving you a headache because of the expansion that's required for certain nadis and channels and sub-chakras within the system. Those, in turn, that expansion, that great rush of Kundalini, in turn, will begin to discharge certain areas of thought, programming, experience, action, activity that is not in line with the Kundalini awakening agenda for you. And because it's not in line, the Kundalini will begin to eject this in many various ways. So, for instance, if the emotional body is having a detoxification over whatever emotion, somebody died in the family, so there's great levels of grief and attachment and expectation, and those levels of attachment, expectation, are going to have to be released from the body. It'll be a continuous thing. This is why we go through a period of grieving. It's a level of love, but it's also a level of kind of a forlornness, missing that person, that has passed. And I have seen Kundalini definitely exacerbate that scenario. And so once again, I will ask you not to storm the gates of heaven so actively, because you do have to keep in mind the many vicissitudes and natures that life will bring to you. A death in the family, getting laid off from your job, or a child that's become dreadfully ill. All these things you have to respond to in an adult fashion. You don't get to just disappear into the jungle and go, okay, Kundalini, I can be in whatever you want me to be right now, and the Kundalini knows this. Kundalini knows that you don't have that jungle. Those of you living in North America, we don't have too many jungles here, except in Florida and Mississippi and Louisiana and Alabama. So when these detoxifications occur, you're going to want to stop it. It's like, oh my God, I've got this headache, or I've got this terrible flu-like nausea in my stomach, and these are one is too much energetic inculcation upon the 6th chakra, like the third eye. People like to breathe into their third eye. Big mistake. You breathe into your third eye, you're going to get a headache. Now, of course, that's depending on what type of breathing you're doing it. If you're doing chakra breathing and you're doing it under my instruction, then you typically won't. But if you're, some teacher says, okay, Chrism, I want you to do 1,000 inhalations and exhalations of Basrika in your third eye so that you can see spirit. Then I would say walk away from that person and keep your sanity. I want you to feel free, actually, to call in during this program, as I do with all programs. I want you to feel free to call in at 347-934-0026. It's very important to be able to have a conversation with yourself, with your loved ones, with, family, friends, whatever. Anybody who knows that you're having a Kundalini awakening experience, it might be helpful for them to understand what the levels of detoxification are, how they can represent themselves, and what may or may not be done to mitigate the detoxification. So I was mentioning before, you have the headaches sometimes. So what you can do is you can stop breathing so much in the headaches into the third eye. You don't want to massively overstimulate the third eye anyway. Okay? Don't expect this to happen in a day, even in a year. Just be steadily diligent in your practice of the safeties. So, for instance, practice the safeties as a pattern of practice twice a day. Once in the morning, once when you go to bed at night, and that's enough. But then again, you are living the safeties from the time you wake up till the time you go to the bed, go to sleep. As best you can, within your life, you're working at your job, you're raising your kids, you're living with your family, you're doing all these things. Practice the safeties, practice the tolerance, the patience, the compassion, the forgiveness, the honesty. Okay? Practice all of those qualities as best you can, as consistently as you can. These also will initiate levels of detoxification. They're not so painful, though. They usually come through levels of self-correction. Okay. We have many, in our experience of life as we grow up, we have many holdover programs from when we were a child. If you play with matches, you'll wet the bed. They have some, around some of the more, shall we say, exotic activities. I won't go into that. But you have a lot of holdover programming from when you were a kid that is absolutely nonsensical, absolutely silly. Playing with matches will not cause you to wet the bed or have aneurysm in any way, shape, or form, unless, of course, you believed that, and there you go. You bought into that program, and now that program has a free opportunity to express itself through your system. So be very careful about what you're hanging on to as far as what is appropriate or inappropriate behavior with regards to Kundalini. And I say, really, with regards to Kundalini, because it is really all about the Kundalini. For those of you that have Kundalini, it's never going away. You are perfectly merged with divinity and physicality, divinity and mundane at the same time. Part of you is that, part of you is the other. Doesn't mean you're fully enlightened by any stretch, but it does mean that you're on that path. You are going to begin to have that path come to you. It does mean that. And so because of those meanings, it is best to really begin to adopt levels of practice such as the safety protocols which initiate detoxifications upon the body. You will no longer feel like lying. You will no longer feel like stealing. You will no longer feel like hurting or killing things. These are also detoxification levels. Ahimsa is a level of detoxification from previous programming that no longer serves you within a Kundalini context. This is a positive detox. Actually, I feel all the detoxification is positive, but I do know that some of them can bring you pain. Okay? When I Skype with a person, they're getting Kundalini. They're getting it, in a stronger form, in a real-time format, and it lands upon them in ways that can be extreme, especially if it's a first-time person I've Skyped with. And you know, the detoxifications can be a headache, can be nausea, can be basically the what is happening is aspects of your personality, of your life, of your energetic retention or giving. You know, when you're a parent, you give to your kids energetically all the time, every day, 24/7. You know, all of that is going to change to some degree. It doesn't have to be a large degree. So, for instance, the attention you give your kids, that'll actually increase. Okay, the caring that you have for perfect strangers, that will increase. Your going into areas of truth and honesty, you know, much further than maybe what you had done before Kundalini is another sign and symptom, and that will increase. If you don't tell the truth, it can really hurt sometimes. I mean, I just had a conversation with one of my students on Skype, you know, and you know, she was being kind of like coerced into telling a small lie about her whereabouts so that her parents are comfortable, right? And, you know, that was a real struggle because she's got Kundalini. And the Kundalini said, wait a minute, that's not true. So yeah. Once again, that's also a detox. We detoxify ourselves from, you know, telling even the smallest little white lie. And if we do have to tell them, then we have to force ourselves to do it. And you know, I think that's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's very supportive of honesty and truth, which is what Kundalini is also very supportive of. Now, with the headaches may expand in a band around the forehead, and basically being picked up by the halo, and once again also amplified through the very, very tight, dense luminescence of the halo, and so you may feel it, you know, that way. You may actually feel it like spikes coming out of your forehead, not in a painful way, but that may be a bit of the energetic topography of the sixth chakra and its interaction with the halo as you're having a headache. You know, the halo can actually, you know, advance that a little bit more. All this stuff is transitory. Now, what I mean by that is, you know, you'll have a headache and then it'll go away. And if you do absolutely nothing to excite that headache, or if your Kundalini is already up, like it is with many of you folks listening to this, if it's already up, well, then you just have to kind of begin to make adjustments in whatever behavior, whatever practice, whatever thought, whatever feeling, whatever interaction, or whatever physical imbalance that you may be participating in or agreeing with or expressing in your life. Time to change. Time to do maybe an audit of what it is you do to encumber yourself with pain. And why is it you do this? Is it necessary? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is necessary. Part of other detoxifications will be emotional levels, snappiness. You'll feel kind of like impatient. You'll want things to happen quicker, faster, because you're kind of irritated with the whole thing. And once again, these are things for you to look at, to forgive, to develop levels of tolerance. Kundalini detox does not come in severe wave upon wave upon wave of symptom. At first it will. When you're new to the Kundalini, you're very, very, very sensitive to levels of detox. It's like a child. It's like a 2-year-old. You know, if you give a 20-year-old, you know, a hot tamale candy, those of you in the U.S. will know what I'm talking about, a hot tamale. You know, they're sugary with cinnamon in it, and so they put a little more cinnamon. I think it's cinnamon. It's probably high fructose corn syrup or some sort. But anyway, they put a lot of cinnamon in it in order to give it that hot taste. You give that to a 2-year-old, it's going to hurt them. They're going to start crying because it hurts. Okay? Same with the Kundalini. If you only have the Kundalini for 3 months or 3 weeks or even, just a few, a couple of years, these detoxifications can really begin to, if you don't know what's going on, it can play havoc with your fear, your levels of fear. Your fears can go right through the roof because you don't know what's going on. And especially if you don't even know what Kundalini is, if you don't know what that is, then you really don't know what's going on. And so you're going to have a very difficult time in trying to put the puzzle together. For those of you listening to this, those puzzle pieces are coming together of themselves. And I want you to just kind of watch that mosaic develop and watch that mosaic that is developing begin to teach you and be open to these teachings about how you can modulate your response to the signs and symptoms and detoxifications of the Kundalini awakening experience. One of the first things I'm going to ask you to do is to put your fingers, your thumb tip and forefinger tip together and let the other 3 kind of spread out. That's the Gyan Mudra. I'll ask you to keep your tongue tip up behind your upper front teeth as much as you can. If you're having headaches because of Kundalini experience, then I'll ask you not to do anything. Don't go overboard with the Tibetans. You've been given enough energy at this point. Let that energy process itself. Now, when you're Skyping with me, my Kundalini will already begin to back off as it determines your level of detoxification. In no way are the conversations that we have one-on-one on Skype to be construed as, painful events or anything like that. What really is happening, say if you're a newly awakened Kundalini person and we have a Skype and then say you have some toxic detoxifications, painful ones afterwards, it's that initial activity of detoxification. And it also shows the sensitivity that you're having with releasing detoxifications as well. Many of the areas of detoxification will be ideologies that we've accepted into ourselves that aren't necessarily cohesive with Kundalini. So, for instance, we've had some shows where some other folks have come online and they've discussed, here we are, hang on a second, the Monkey King. Oh, I see Mike's telling a story. Are you quoting the Bhagavad Gita here? Heard in the Fable, Journey to the West, I see. Well, for those of you on the chat room right now, yeah, there you go. Oh, I see. Now, well, I guess there's some sort of a mantra that you can do. But for those of us not raised in Sanskrit and still having Kundalini, there are other access points for us to consider within our language and our understandings in our contemporary society that will also help. So, for instance, the folks that wrote the Monkey King saga, they didn't have GMOs, as far as we know. They didn't have all kinds of ultra frequency, cell phones, TV waves, radioactive waves. They didn't have any of that stuff. All of that stuff interacts with our energetic anatomy in different ways, in ways that may not allow us to be as affected by some of the information that the rishis wrote of, which is, there it is, another attachment towards, or programs by a group of people that I think were really, really fantastically advanced, and yet, they had a contemporary society at the time that they had it that, where this really worked well. And thank God they had such a strong oral tradition, because they also understood about detoxification at these levels. That it's not so much left in the lexicon of the Sanskriti civilization, but there are vestiges of it left in the Rig Veda and stuff like that, writings like that. With regard to our contemporary society, I mean, let's say you're a single parent, you got 2 little kids, and you're at home, and you have the Kundalini detox symptoms going on. It's okay. It is absolutely okay for you to have that. It's necessary for you to have that. You need to get that stuff out. It's just like any kind of an infection on the body, physical. You want to get that stuff out. Now, some people like to just wait for the infection to burst through of its own, and others like to go in and get it out. Either way, as long as you recognize that these detoxifications are elements of infection that the Kundalini is releasing from your system, and you allow that releasing to continue, then you'll do fine. You'll do fine. If you try to stop the detoxification, if you try to stop the sign or the symptom, then you're going to run into problems. For you earlier awakeners, for those of you that have been awakened just like a few years or a few months, you want to really resist the ego-based urge to control the Kundalini or to control the symptom of it upon the body, to a great degree. One reason is because these signs and symptoms are actual communications to you from your Kundalini that are not based in words or sound all the time. Sometimes they are, but not all the time. You're getting a headache. Well, okay. A little too much focus on the third eye. Well, you're getting nausea. Well, okay. A little too much focus on the Danchen area of the body, which comprise the first, second, third chakra. Mostly the second, though. So these areas, they're very sensitive. And as you come in to these areas, your mental imagery, your inner thoughts, your inner dialogue is also going to want to make a change. And this is where mantras can really become very, very helpful. And I mean mantras that you understand. English and Sanskrit are very, very different languages, actually. Sanskrit, has a lot of the, the foundation of English is like Sanskrit or from Sanskrit. Most languages on this world right now. But not in our, we're not cogently going into it going, oh, Sanskrit, okay, I know what that means. I know it. Om Namaha Shivaya Om means, I know it. Any different, Sanskrit phrase. Now, the nice thing about Sanskrit is because it's so Kundalini friendly that you can say it and you can use it and you don't even need to know what it's saying because you can feel the activity of it on your symptom or on your body. But with the contemporary people, I just soon give it to you in English so that it begins to retrain your mental and emotional bodies. Both of these are really ego-dominated areas for the newly awakened person. Between the two of them, the mental and the emotional, it's the emotional that is far less mature and that is far more prone to disagreement with what the Kundalini is going to give into that system. And, so it goes for the ego infatuation with control. It will go straight into the emotional body with that and straight into the mental body with that too, more so the emotional body because, we're not really taught emotional techniques for being emotionally, balanced. Most people end their emotional training when they're like 13 or 14, and that's what we're left with, as a society. Not everybody, but, a lot of people seem to have it that way. But with you and your detoxification, you're going to want to change what it is you're attaching yourself to emotionally. Where is the emotional charge and why are you attaching to it? And you will know why the Kundalini wants to get it out of your system. Okay? Where is the control that you want to inflict upon this world? Are you an empath? Are you a healer? Do you want to go out and heal everybody? You know, do you belong to a group of people that recognize themselves as being of a certain origin or a certain religious belief system? And, you know, how much of this are you going to resist if the Kundalini doesn't want you to do that anymore? What happens when you belong to a group or a gathering of people that believe in a very similar way, and the Kundalini says, no, I want you to take a walk from that chrism. And the ego of chrism is going, well, I got friends there. Kind of reminds me of a kid telling their parents that he doesn't want to move to another city. I've got friends there. You know, I've got a life here. You know, I like these people. They resonate with me. I like it. And the Kundalini says, well, that's nice. And they're all very nice people. But no, this has to stop, and I want it to stop now. And it will give you a sign and a symptom of that level of detoxification. It doesn't mean that the people you know that you're wrong, or that the philosophy is wrong, or that anything is wrong. It doesn't mean that at all. All it means is that the Kundalini doesn't want you to go there right now. That's what it means. That is what it means. You want to watch the habit of projecting our emotional instabilities upon the Kundalini. You know, if the Kundalini says, you know, you can't enjoy soccer anymore, you know, I guess it's called football everywhere but the U.S. So all of a sudden, oh gosh, you know, I can't watch football anymore, or soccer, and wow, but I really like that game. That's my favorite thing to do. I go and I watch 6 hours of soccer on TV, and the Kundalini's going, yes, exactly. Exactly. You will know you're going to get a headache every time you watch TV now, and especially if it's soccer. So I'm not saying that the Kundalini will say that to you, but sometimes it will. That would just, you know, for most early awakeners, that would scare the heck out of them to hear that disembodied voice go, well, that's because you're watching 6 hours of TV. So, yeah. Don't worry. I mean, she's going to ask you to detox certain things from your system. Go with it. Surrender to it. Do not try to artificially attach or control how the Kundalini is infusing your system. Let the Kundalini, who knows you far better than you know yourself, let the Kundalini do that. Now, a lot of people are driven to Skype with me, and when you Skype with me, you do get a very large charge of Kundalini. It's true. I can't deny that. That is too many people have said it and experienced it, and I've watched it. So, with that in mind, you want to understand that the Kundalini wants you to have that extra jump. It wants you to begin to practice the safeties. It wants you to work with mantras. It wants you to go into certain exercises, certain devotionals, certain meditations. It wants you to do that, and it knows if you work with me that I'll have you do that. And this will all bring up levels of detoxification. Some of those signs and symptoms of the detoxification are the heat rash. It's like a heat rash that you can get on the skin. It can come on your face, it can come on your arm, it can come on your leg, your inner thigh, under the breast on the female. In the genital regions, and also in the seat area, where where the good Lord split you. It can come there as well. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. It comes from that saying, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. So where the good Lord split you, I want you to look at those areas too. Make sure they're very dry and very, very clean, especially after you go to the restroom and say it's the solid material. You go to the bathroom, solid material. Clean that off of your skin there. You have to remember that your tailbone is totally lit up by Kundalini. And your tail, and that level of radiance coming to that area, you really need to clean that area all the time. Make it a practice. Every time you do that, clean it, wash it, clean it, and make it very good for yourself. If you don't, well, don't do that for a few times, and you'll see what I'm understanding. But I just soon you trust me on this. Trust me on this. So you get that rash. Sometimes it'll last 2 weeks. Sometimes it'll last 2 days. That'll be dependent upon your surrender to the Kundalini and your willingness to change amidst these various levels of detoxification. You must be willing to make these changes, people. I am not counseling you to go into resistance to these at all, even though your ego will want to. You must be willing to make these changes. And you're going, what changes? What changes? And I say, the changes that the Kundalini is giving you to change. So, for instance, if you're getting a headache because you're focusing so much on the sixth chakra, well, focus on your left big toe for a while. That'll still give you a charge if you need a charge. Focus somewhere else. Focus on giving service to someone in need. Focus on visiting someone in a convalescent home. Focus on picking up some trash along the side of the road. Focus on helping someone, animal or human or plant on this world, just for the sake of being helpful. That has true modulation capability within the Kundalini awakening equation. That has true modulation capability within the equation of the Kundalini. How you are, how you behave, will begin to determine how the Kundalini expresses itself through you. Okay, and it's not always the better you are, the easier it is. Sometimes the better you are, the harder it is, because you're ready for new levels of energetic infusion. You're ready for it. Your equation is crying out for it. And so the Kundalini gives it. Another symptom of detoxification will be, of course, the headache, as I've mentioned, the nausea. You'll feel a certain level of malaise, and sometimes that can also be caused by entities that you're attached to resisting the Kundalini, taking them out. And because you have the attachment to the entity, you are also resisting that change. Watch that. Most people in this world will have some sort of entity attachment, whether it's to an ancestor or an animal or another incarnate human being. So, you'll need to look at these levels of attachment. If you're having it down, say, in the Dantian area, this has to do with levels of energetic or power modulation. Where are you placing your power and why? How are you using your power and why? What are your intentions with power and why? How have you used your power in the past? And why did you use it that way? A lot of stuff's going on in the Dantian area with Kundalini. The intestines can be seen as a coil. A coil slash an electrical coil. And they generate, a huge amount of energy. And it's not just a coil, but it's also a capacitor. So what comes in as a little can come out as a lot. Okay? Energy coming in, that's a small thing, gets amplified by going through a capacitor. So I need you to understand that. And I need you to really begin to realize that your whole life is changing from the inside out, and it's changing on very, very, very personal, very intimate levels of programming and activity, and changes based upon previous experience and what the Kundalini's agenda of experience for you is. Another manifestation of detox will be some bad dreams or entity attack. The bad dreams will come, and you'll actually be given a setup. Many times you'll be given a setup where you can see that you're being given a choice within the dream life to help the situation or to harm the situation. And depending on what the situation is, you'll make choices that will begin to mitigate the level of pain or irritation that you feel with the Kundalini detox. Another thing I'm being told to tell you is to really begin to manifest an understanding that, especially for the earlier awakening person, all of this stuff is really fairly new to the physiologic systems of your newly awakened Kundalini awakening body. Not everything has changed. It's actually, you're like an infant, and, slowly but surely systems are coming online. The Kundalini does not like to rush, but everybody's different. And what's rushing for Fashji won't be rushing for Mike. What's rushing for Kristen won't be rushing for Amelia, or, et cetera, and so forth. We all have our unique expression within this detoxification. But the thing is you really want to begin to cogently change your programming, cogently change where you're being able to discern a Kundalini symptom is coming from. All those questions of power, rewind this thing. Those of you listening on the archive, rewind that and look at those levels of power and the gradation of power and where that power is going and why. The why is also, because the why is what gives you the motive for spending your energy that way. Okay. Kundalini, is an unlimited, extremely powerful force of energy. It's the difference between, a billion hydrogen warheads and a match. It's a huge difference. And so, of course, because the Kundalini is conscious and self-aware, it realizes that in its Kundalini child, which would be any of us, certain levels of programming need to be redacted from the system. Certain levels of testing and certain levels of understanding the right use of will or the appropriate use of power needs to be brought into the system. As you experience these teachings, and as you experience these teachings as different forms of detoxification, I'm going to suggest that you do not want to try to ameliorate the pain. Have a conversation with your Kundalini. If you're sitting here listening to the radio show right now, and you're going, wow, what's going on with all this head pain or all this nausea? Just talk to your Kundalini. Say right now, Kundalini in me, help me deal or help me acclimatize to these different levels of detoxification and teach me what it is I need to know so that I don't go back and shall we say, recharge myself with these same programs. And it typically will respond to you. It won't respond as a voice. It won't respond as a teacher. That's why it's given me this, because I will respond that way. But it will respond typically in the language of symbol. All of a sudden you'll see a feather floating down, or all of a sudden you'll see some sort of a thing that is of a mystic quality communication to you. Okay. It sometimes will adopt the themes of ideology and programming that you've made yourself familiar with or that you've grown comfortable with. Remember, it's not going to judge you based upon your ideologies or your religious, unless that, of course, is hurtful to your Kundalini awakening equation. It doesn't care if you see yourself as a Catholic or a Muslim or a shaman or a New Age person or whoever you want to be. Hey, as long as it fits within the Kundalini agenda, she's good with it. Be who it's all a level of Maya anyway. So, if you want to pretend that you're, whatever, then have a good time with it. As long as it, and this will be allowed as long as it's not outside of the Kundalini awakening agenda for your specific equation. Okay, for your specific equation. Another activity that may come along with detoxification, I mentioned the rashes, bad moods, depression. It's like you have a cloud over your head. You're pissy. And this can last a long time because many of us in the United States and around the world already have a specific classification or level of depression working through us already. Okay? Many of us have that already, and that is we get to work through. And we will work through it. We will work through it. But don't let yourself be fooled. Don't let yourself be fooled that, this headache is because I'm stressed, or this headache's because I want to wash the car but it's raining. Well, no, that wouldn't work. Whatever, but you get the. I think you get the idea. Don't try to label your Kundalini symptom with a mundane source. Okay. You're not having the symptom because you lack, Western medicine. You're having the symptom because the Kundalini is pushing stuff out of your body that you no longer need. And to some sub-psychological level, you're still attached to it. And you're resisting that change. And it's the resistance to that change that will begin to cause the pain to some degree. For the newer awakened person, you're so sensitive. You're like that little kid eating a hot tamale. You're so sensitive that any changes in any of the chakra fields will affect you. Not always negatively. Sometimes you'll feel really good. Sometimes you'll have a very strong level of serenity or bliss. You'll have, the blissful tears, crying, and you'll feel the joyful heaves of sobbings that are not hurtful. And these are also manifestations of detox. And as I tell all of the people that I work with personally, that let yourself cry. It is not depression. Don't begin to imagine that now that the Kundalini is up, that everything is the same for you. In fact, everything is changing for you. Oh yes, you still have the same body. You'll still have the same, mole on your small foot of your right foot. Small toe on your right foot. You'll still have the same package, but what's inside the package is changing. Okay. Now I want you to, if you have any questions about this, please give a call. 347-934-0026. I would like to welcome, for a brief change of subject, I would like to welcome Her Holiness Rosemary Goliath here. Here we are, Rosemary. I'm going to turn you red. Are you ready to be red? Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Rosemary. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm enjoying your teaching because I don't have those severe things. They're not as severe, I'm sure, as they can be, but just my things are very subtle, but I am aware of them, those changes in myself. So thanks.
You're very welcome, my dear. Do you have announcements you'd like to talk about?
Well, the life of the spirit, the life and the spirit of the seminar coming soon. In I think I counted 10 weeks, maybe 2 months and a couple weeks. It's moving along smoothly. I'm delighted with what people are responding. I don't know who's going to sit in the chairs, and I may have said here before that my job is to do the footwork and the mouth work, and then Kundalini will fill the chairs of whatever she wants. So I'm enjoying my task and honored to be doing it.
Well,
it is
very, very grateful.
Okay. Yeah, September 27th, 28th, 9 to 5 those 2 days. Please email me, rosemaryg@usinternet.com or 651-329-9615 for more details. But I can tell you we have rooms arranged or saved for us if you're out of state, and it's a lovely time to visit Minnesota. And
Minnesota's a gorgeous state too. I was blessed by Kundalini through her expression through me, but also through her expression through Eileen Lauro, who is also listening right now. And she arranged for the first seminar we did in Minnesota. And it's a beautiful, beautiful state. We went up, it's the headwaters of the Mississippi River, so we drove up to have a look at that. They have very beautiful wildlife areas there, too. So just so you know, Minnesota's a cool place to visit, you know. And when they say it's the state of 10,000 lakes, they're not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
When you fly in to Minnesota, it's this huge, broad, flat plain dotted with all these little lakes and ponds and streams, and it's very beautiful. Good place for Kundalini. Thank you, Rosemary, very much. And now, of course, I'd like to go to Her Holiness Amelia Centara and John, who is listening as he plays poker. And so, Centara, do you have anything you'd like to add to this detox? I know you've had them, so I think people really like to. I think you have a really good way about you with regards to the Kundalini teachings that are coming from your Kundalini through you. So let her go, my dear.
Oh, short. I've been listening to you intensely because I suppose Kundalini has awakened for a couple of years, and I'm thinking the detox is still going on. It still continues, but in a different way. But it doesn't mean it's in a different way, and I'm in a different place than I was when it started. I mean, when Kundalini started first, I had no idea about the detox. I had no idea, about that aspect. And one of the things I will always remember is learning about the crying and the heaving and the sobbing, and that this was a detox. Because, you were saying there that if somebody dies or there's some major thing, how that can be, I suppose, amplified. But sometimes there's nothing going on, Chrism. You're just living your life, and suddenly, for no reason that you can identify, tears begin to come. You begin to feel extremely sad, or you're just crying.
You said it right. You said it right, Amelia. For causes that you cannot identify. Just because you cannot identify a cause doesn't mean a cause hasn't occurred. It could be that just the level of Kundalini energy has reached a point in you where it has determined that, okay, it's now time to release some of this pressure. Boom, there it comes out your eyes.
Absolutely, yeah. And learning that was wonderful, because then I stopped going, oh, what's wrong? Oh, there's something wrong with me. Oh, what can I do? This sort of thing. And I was able to...
No, that is so true. That is so true. Oh, my God. I can't tell you how true that is. That is amazing. Yeah.
So,
what's wrong with me?
Yeah. So the freedom and the release of being tied into that, and understanding that, this is a detoxification, this is the Kundalini working, and then surrendering to that, and beginning to understand as well, that I needed to start to maybe look at, rather than, trying to figure out the causes of what was going on, looking at my life and just looking at things, because my intolerances would also rise during these times. And so it was a way to start putting the safeties into practice. I mean, it kind of forced me quite often. to choose to do the safeties, if you know what I mean. So my intolerance or my irritability with something would be, and then the option to choose to become more tolerant to, all within the safeties and that. And it's about surrendering my resistance, to the pain and really accepting it as a grace that has been given to me, whether it's severe or not so severe, I think. I'm gone blank now all of a sudden, Chris.
That's okay. It's all right. I'm blank all the time.
Okay. Yeah. And another thing then is, go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Another thing.
Well, another thing that just came to me there as well is the good, wonderful bliss and all of that comes. And then after that as well, a detoxification definitely happens. That seems to initiate a detox after.
Bliss is another vector of it. I'm glad you brought that up too, because I'm going to speak on that right now. Thank you, my dear.
Okay.
Blissful. The blissful thing is, it really is a huge deal that way, because it will definitely push aside certain programs and behaviors that does not fit in with the Kundalini agenda. So you'll be feeling blissful this whole time, heaving and sobbing with joy and love and grace and these wonderful feelings of the beginning levels of enlightenment. And that will subside after a little while. That will subside, and then all of a sudden, it's gone. And it's like you've just jumped off a 10,000-foot cliff, and because the bliss and the divine interaction is now missing from you, you're longing for it to a certain degree. And it's this longing that can cause a person to become depressed. This can also bring about levels of attachment. We have a lot of unhealthy attachments that we cling to, that we hold to, that we want to remain in our lives. And I want to let you know it's time to get rid of some of these unhealthy attachments. Amelia Santara, she's mentioning some excellent examples, intolerance and things of that nature. But also, as I mentioned before, certain groups, certain ideologies, certain programs that you were given as you're raised from being a child, and certain emotional immaturities that are still being attached to as you're an adult that were developed as a child. So really, really, really begin to take a look at yourself. Begin to really take a look at how you modulate your programs, if at all. Do you even try? Okay. Now, it's one thing to try to control the Kundalini by taking drugs to mask pain or things of that nature. It's another thing to surrender to Kundalini and to let that pain exist for the short time that it'll be there, and to begin to make changes in how you process your life along the line of a Kundalini agenda, instead of trying to cling to the current life attachment of expectation of how life should be. It's probably as clear as mud right now, the way I explained it, but I hope. Let me bring Amelia back on here. Are you there?
Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah. I'm going, that was just perfect in the way you expressed that, to me anyway. It made total sense. So it wasn't as clear as mud. It was very clear. Yeah. That's the whole thing, Prism, that I learned, that I am still learning to do, but that I learned through your teaching, and through the experience and through the Kundalini directly.
You learned it through Kundalini, yeah.
Yes, but Kundalini directed me to you, Prism, so I would learn it, because it would have taken me so much longer on my own because my self-talk would have opted me out of a lot of things, do you know? So, yeah, of course it's Kundalini, but it's Kundalini through the teachings that I have received. It has helped greatly. So, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it has to reach you. What is it? It's the I guess the mustard seed in the Christian Bible. You know, it has to have fertile ground, and you were fertile ground, Amelia Santara. The mustard seed has exponentially recreated itself in a much stronger and a more powerful person in you. I'm getting this amazing echo from you, my dear. I'm going to put you in the blue.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time I call Ireland, I think maybe the egregore, the massive entity that controls the population of Ireland, is basically saying, well, let's make Chris hear everything twice from Ireland. He needs to learn more from the Irish, which I'm sure is true. So yeah, as we continue along this line, don't try to cover up your pain, unless, of course, it is too much. It is too much for you. Then do, if an aspirin will help, take an aspirin. You know, if you know what to do, and if you have the way to mitigate it. I could never afford aspirin or anything to help me with any of the pains that I experienced, and so I just had to learn how to mitigate the pain in different ways. And much mitigation can occur when you surrender to the Kundalini completely. Completely. Surrender your life, surrender control of your life, because she's going to take control of it anyway. She'll let you live according to what you know how to do. So, for instance, you know, any of our guests here, you know, like Julie, Fasti, Linda, Mike, Steve, everybody pretty much knows what they can do, how they can do what they need to do, that they've learned how to do it. Kundalini doesn't necessarily take away your intellectual property, shall we say. But what it may take away is intellectual property that is not conducive to its agenda. So if you're a thief, if you're a murderer, if you're in some way involved in criminal activities that are hurting other people, hurting yourself, hurting the environment, if you're so addicted to greed, as in money or drugs or romance or sex or whatever it is, then these things may come up in you as very strong detoxifications. If you're looking at the whole sexual libido thing, whomp, it's gone. You couldn't get it up to save your life, and I'm talking to the men here. You know, when I say it takes charge, I mean it takes charge. You know, it'll evaporate any sexual desire whatsoever from either gender or multi-genders. Okay? It will evaporate the sexual drive. And you'll be left going, whoa, did I piss Kundalini off in some way? Did I say that word? I'm sorry. I remember I'm on the radio here. Did I make the Kundalini angry in some way? I'm going to assign Eileen the beep button, the boop button. Okay, Eileen? You've got the boop button, okay? Hover is all I'm going to say to you, Eileen. Hover. If you have any questions about this or any other aspect of your Kundalini awakening equation, please feel free to call 347-934-0026. 347-934-0026. And Amelia will meet you first. She's the meet and greet, and then she'll pass you on over to me. Okay? Yeah. I'm getting kind of another picture that wants to be presented here with regards to the detox. Ah, yes, okay. It won't be your spouse that's making you irritable. It won't be your kids crying incessantly or being children that will make you irritable. It will be your resistance to the Kundalini changes that are coming that will make you irritable. Okay. Kundalini is the Maha energy. It gets to take charge of you. Kundalini is the hand of God. You don't get to lift the hand of God off of your shoulder and say, maybe not today. You don't get to do that. Once the Kundalini is up, it's up. And it's not going away. Now, sure, you can lock yourself into a prison and in a psych ward, or you can, you can try to deny it over and over and over. I know of one woman who became so infatuated with fear of her Kundalini that she started living in her apartment, and then instead of the apartment, she wouldn't go outside. She covered up all the windows. She went into her closet, her walk-in closet, and she began to live out of the closet, and she wouldn't come out. She was evicted when she started having campfires in her closet. And she would only eat in her closet. She'd defecate in her closet, that type of thing. Now, I don't advise you to go that way, but people have. People have when their fear is so strong that it turns into a level of resistance that the Kundalini will continuously try to break through. But it's not going to obliterate the human being. The human being still, within their own special equation, still has a level of work to do. And in this case, she needed to get through her fears. Not buy into them. Not the easiest thing. For those of you that haven't had this, this amazing level of fear come upon them from the Kundalini and from entities, then you don't want to judge this woman. Don't want to judge her, even if you do know what she's going through. You don't want to judge her. Okay, the situation is different for everyone, and we all mitigate. We all experience our pain and our psychology in different ways. Okay. But with that being said, you know what's occurring. You know what's happening. You're listening to this broadcast. You know ways to mitigate. And really, the main way, really, is to surrender to the Kundalini and be willing to change your patterns of expression on this world. Patterns of expression that include the 5 bodies of human expression, which would be the physical, the mental, the emotional, the psychological, and the spiritual. Okay? You need to be willing to detach, say, the image you have of yourself. I'll tell you what, the image that you have of yourself is basically from the ego. It's a big aquarium. It's a huge multiverse out there. There's many entities. There's many forms of consciousness that would try to interact with you and try to help you form suppositions of this or that. But for the most part, your self-understandings are motivated by cause and effect based in ego-based understandings. Even your mental deductive reasoning, all these things, will often have an ego underpinning. So release these attachments. Release them. If you're the person that's always in charge, if you're the person that, you have a good job, say you own your own company, whatever, you're used to making all the decisions. You're used to calling the shots. And oh my God, is it so interesting to not be able to do that anymore with regards to Kundalini. It's a big shift for a leader to have to step back and get on their hands and knees and give themselves to the grace of the divine. At first it's hard. It gets really, really easy after that because that grace of the divine is within us. It's our Kundalini. It's in our tailbone. We're already there. We just have to begin to reprogram some of the attachments and expectations that we've been kind of coerced into believing. So change it. Change your mind. Change your inner dialogue. Change the desire to control the Kundalini. Let it control you. Change the way you see yourself. I would suggest that you see yourself as a child within the arms of grace. I mean, seriously, because that is closer to the truth than not. While we are still behind the veil that separates us from the true reality of, the many levels of creation, while we're behind this veil, especially as we're just starting on the Kundalini path, the veil will begin to thin, and we'll have more of an interaction with the forces that exist outside of the veil than we normally would have had, being within the five sense understandings, strictly. And so now that you have more information, well, you have more processing to do, but you don't necessarily have discernment yet. You have more information, and your ego tends to jump into it tends to jump to the conclusion that, it must be this, this, and that because I saw this on Star Trek last night. That must be a Klingon. People do this. I want to remind everyone, TV is fictional for the most part. Unless it's a reality show, which is probably fictional, or the news, which is definitely fictional. The weather is even fictional because of all the cloud seeding and chemtrails and things of that nature. Aside from that, really kind of get yourself into the understanding that you can be a child of God and still drive a car. You can be a child of God and still raise your kids. You can be a child of God and still go to school, go to your work, do all these things that you normally do. You just do them with a different understanding of what life is all about. A different understanding of what life is all about. And I'm going to go back to Amelia Centauro with this because she's a mom. She's got 2 or 3 kids, I think. Right?
Yeah, 2 or 3, multiplied by 2 or 3.
Yeah. So you're still able to be a mother, right?
I hope so. No, yeah. I am, of course. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I had 2007. How many were still at home? There was about 4 of them, I'd say, still at home when Kundalini, teenagers and younger ones and babies, even at that stage. And so, yeah. And Kundalini, the one thing I knew was that Kundalini knew that, that supported that. Now, I have to say my children also were, my love for them was part of the reason that they grounded me, Kristen, too. They were a focus. They were a place where I was able to, I don't know if this is what I'm going to say now, but it's like take my focus off my own self observations. When you can be like, there would have been a few times when I would be, on occasion, I could become a bit obsessed with what was going on because it is so huge, and therefore my children also helped me because I focused on them. It became part of my surrender in a way to the Kundalini. Am I making sense?
You always make sense. Amazing.
Yeah, so that helped me, and
I want you to talk, Amelia. I want you to talk to all the mothers that have 2-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 1-year-olds out there, and how has the Kundalini helped you to raise those kids amidst the detoxification that occurs?
Okay. Well, first of all, love is the center of everything. And so it's about making a conscious decision and a conscious choice. There's so many things going on at the same time. So one aspect is to make the conscious choice that I am going to allow and surrender to the transformation that I know is going on, that sometimes it's not easy. And so I focused on my children. I started to, give my love in ways that I hadn't done with my older ones, actually, before Kundalini awakened. And so when I began to do that more and more, there is a change that happens in the process, I mean, the pain of certain things are eased, and you don't do it in order to make the pain go away, but that's just the way it works. And just open yourself completely to the Kundalini working and being present within you, and just go with the flow of that, and consciously, the safeties such as truth and honesty, those things all applied to my children as well, Yeah, I'm getting blanks, cousin.
Where you are again?
Yeah. It's because when you ask me a question like that, it is so vast. And it's like trying to put the jigsaw all together very quickly. And
no, you take your time. Sometimes I'll ask you a question like that, and then I'll go off and go to the bathroom, and there you go.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah.
But so it's a wonderful. I think having children has its challenges, but it also has amazing benefits to have children. If that's your scenario, don't be afraid, don't be frightened. Your children are going to be benefited by having a mom who is, awakening, whose Kundalini is awakened, and who she's awakening into that grace. Their lives are going to be
and they will learn. They will learn because they might have the Kundalini too. There is that genetic thing.
There is, and as it progresses, I mean, the thing is not to be fearful, and the thing is to know that what is happening is supposed to be happening. The Kundalini awakens at this particular time in your life, knowing that you had children, knowing what your situation is, and so that's part of your process and part of your transformation, and it's wonderful.
And so are you, my dear. Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome.
There you have it, folks. For those of you with kids, 7 years and under, it doesn't depart from your abilities and skills as a parent. It will actually accentuate it in a very, very positive way, as Amelia Santara has outlined. And also, the understanding that you look to love first. Always look to love first, as Amelia mentioned. Look to love first in all the interactions that you have with plants, with animals, with children, and with adults, especially your spouse, especially your parents, if you're living at home with your parents. Make sure that you begin to understand that everything is held together through the matrix of love. And this whole journey that you're on, having a soul and in a body, and a physical body, is also being totally controlled by the matrix of love. Okay. So understand that, please. If you have any questions about your Kundalini awakening experience, please feel free to call 347-934-0026. If you would like to talk with Amelia Santara about more of her experiences with regarding child rearing and amidst Kundalini Detox, you can call us up again at 347-934-0026. So there you have it, folks. There you have it. Yes, ma'am.
I suppose just to mention, things we're talking about children and that, for women who have given birth, there is a childbirth analogy and a labour analogy, and that works and fits with the Kundalini. And for me, it has helped me in my surrender. It's like when you're having labor pains, when you surrender to those labor pains, when you know that it's pain for a purpose, it makes that journey towards birth very different than if you're resisting and you're tightened up and you're fearful of what's happening to your body. And it's very similar in that way when Kundalini comes into the physical body as well. Everything is working towards your transformation. In a way, you're being birthed. And so it's about allowing and surrendering to those, Kundalini labor pains in a way, and that has always very much helped me in my surrendering as well, that analogy. So I just thought I'd mention that there, in case it might be people might relate to it.
Well, it's helpful because, for women, a lot of Kundalini activations come from childbirth. You can have Kundalini awaken because of the drama of childbirth. It's one of the vectors.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm still hearing that echo, my dear.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. The gods of Ireland. So there you have it. Now, something else with regards to Kundalini detox. You need to understand that the programming about health in the Western civilization is that you can control it all the time, and you can't control it all the time. Sometimes you're just going to get sick, and it doesn't mean that anything is wrong. It just means that because Kundalini is constantly inside of your process now, it's allowing you to receive the immune function that virus or something that entails. It also allows a certain level of teaching, either for you or for those around you. One person recently that's been in my life, this person had a tumor the size of a grapefruit inside their sternum. Huge thing, right? They discover it, they want to go in, and and so they immediately, jump on it really well. They give it a little chemotherapy, and I think a week or a week and a half later, that thing can't even find it. But this person also received a lot of Kundalini healing. And I'm fairly certain it was the Kundalini healing that did the trick. But also, I think the chemotherapy does have its uses to some degree, just not in the excessive use that the medical community wants to use it with. But this type of thing would teach you a great deal about the levels of love that you have for yourself, loves that you have for other people. The sternum, is the lower fourth and the upper third chakra area. And, and so that has a bit of a mixture of the two qualities of those energetic centers. And it's showing people that, you can beat cancer. You can beat that tumor the size of a grapefruit. You can beat it, and you can go forward. But it's the Kundalini that will help you do it. It's the Kundalini that will help you do it. We have some amazing healers just in the groups that we have on Facebook and Yahoo. Amazing healers. They don't even know how amazing they are. I mean, that's great because that ties in with the whole non-self-identification or self-aggrandizement policy that the Kundalini likes to see people, express. So don't try to step in the way of these detox systems. Realize that they are indeed that. Realize that they are that. And realize that they're not going to last. And if they do last, then, call me up, have a Skype with me, drop me an email, drop me a message if you have an iPad, and we'll look together to see what we can do to begin to ameliorate your situation. Another person contacted me recently. This is This is a person that having Kundalini detox, but it masks the body, and the ego begins to interpret it as a physical-based malaise or disease, and then the person takes that to the MDs, and the MDs decide that of course it's a physical-based malaise or disease, because that's all there is. There is nothing beyond the physical. And so, you become the chemistry experiment. I will suggest that you begin to go on to KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com, look at the signs and symptoms of awakening Kundalini. They're there. There's a little cheat sheet you can fill out. Go to KundaliniAwakeningSeminars.com and look at the selection that says how it works. And that'll give you an animation, and it'll also give you a lot of information about what's going on with your energetic anatomy. Don't resist your detoxification. Embrace it. Allow it. And become attuned to it. And by that, I don't mean like anything of a Reiki nature, as those of you who know me know. But I mean becoming harmonized with what is occurring, so that you can learn the lesson of it, so that it doesn't need to be repeated. Part of the lesson, though, for the newly awakened is the expansion in the energetic anatomy. And that, too, can cause symptoms. That's what you'll get with the Kriz. This is even before you have a spinal sweep. You'll constantly be guided. You'll feel guided towards a certain person or certain teaching or a certain exercise. And as you listen to that guidance, I also want you to realize that just like in any EULA end users licensing agreement, the Kundalini is saying, hey, all of this is great and this is good, but it's the Kundalini agenda that matters. And as you begin to pay attention to the Kundalini in you, you begin to agree to these terms. There really is no choice for you at this point. You will agree to these terms. You will learn the teachings, whether it's from this teacher or that. You will learn the teachings, and you will begin to express divinity or divine understanding, divine motivation, divine activity through your body into the environment. Remember, what I've said about a radiance footprint. This is what I'm talking about. As a Kundalini awakened person, you have a very large radiance footprint, and everybody inside of that radiance, everything inside that radiance will be affected by that Kundalini footprint. So it's important for you to not try to control the symptom itself, but rather control your response to it. Control your response to it. Bring in some very, very heavy levels of gratitude and tolerance. Gratitude and tolerance. Okay? Gratitude and tolerance. All right, we're coming up to 26 minutes left for the program. If anybody would like to call in, the number is 347-934-0026. And we'll welcome your call, welcome your input about this Kundalini experience that we're having. At this point, I'm going to bring Eileen, Her Holiness, on.
Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Florida. How are things in the Sunshine State?
Overcast, right? Not right now. We've been having rain every day, beautiful storms. Oh, I love the storms and the lightning. Oh, my God.
How beautiful.
Lightning. Oh, it is, and I've never experienced this, sitting on the 11th floor, having a lightning bolt hit right outside my window. Oh, nothing
Cool.
like it. And it is.
Cool.
It's like watching the lightning is. It to me, I think of the Kundalini and all that power and all the lights. It's a Kundalini light show that I see almost every night.
Oh, that's
really
great. Have you been able to follow the conversation?
Oh yes, I have, and I'm sitting here thinking of all the different things some I've detached from, and some I still am working on detaching from. And
What have you detached from?
oh geez, my job, my former life, a lot of the beliefs and ways I looked at things. They don't have any meaning anymore. I'm finding lately there's much detachment from people. I'm having a very difficult time being around anybody, and being okay. Detaching from the need to be with people, and being okay with being alone and being in a different place. It's hard to describe, but
It can being by yourself can be a very beneficial thing. Absolutely.
Well,
It doesn't have to. It's not necessity, but like even if you have kids and whatnot, if you could just like give yourself 21 minutes or even 10 minutes, do it. I know that when you have young babies, their agenda trumps yours. That's how that works.
That would be true, but I don't have any babies.
I know. Well, you do.
I,
You do. You just don't know it yet.
I'm sorry, what?
You do. You just don't know it yet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I'll talk to you about that later.
There is a big, a huge detachment from people, and I think in terms of the term normal people, mainstream people, people that you've used the word asleep, people who are asleep. Being with people like that for me is very difficult because they're into so many different belief systems and desires and needs that for me are not necessary. They have no meaning. So that I find that it's interesting. It's a learning for me.
Well, it's good. It's good, and you just expand your levels of tolerance, expand your level of acceptance, and realize that, everybody is their own journey and is having their own experience, and they don't necessarily look alike to each other. They look very different often, and so that's good. That's good. Good. Well, good, Eileen. Well, I want you to keep your finger hovering over that beep button, okay?
Yes,
I'll try not to keep you too busy.
Thank you, Chrism.
Okay, thank you. And okay, she's in the blue. So yeah. So we've covered a little bit here in the 2 hours that we can cover it with here on Blog Talk Radio. Some of the detox systems will, as I mentioned before, come to you in your dreams. You don't want to necessarily believe that what you see in the dream is the real thing. You want to ask your Kundalini first. Always go through Kundalini. If you can have a flesh teacher, then I recommend that you do so. One of the main reasons being is that in the early stages of Kundalini, it's very difficult to discern entities from Kundalini because if the entities have been with you for a while, they kind of know how to begin to draw you into their agenda rather than the Kundalini agenda. And when you're with a flesh teacher that is just about the Kundalini agenda, that flesh teacher can see that a mile away. And he or she will say, don't go there. Don't go there. You don't need that. Okay? Flesh teachers are very, very important. Very, very important. It's part of the equation of as above, so below. It's part of the equation is as without, so within, as within, so without. If you can find yourself a flesh teacher, I do recommend it. It is one of the things that can keep you very, very, very safe and sane on this path. Yes, Your Holiness. Up, on and off, on and off. Did you want to say something, Amelia?
Yeah, I wanted to say something about the flesh teacher. You referred as well, as well as what you just said there. You mentioned earlier as well, which was my experience. In the early days, there's a huge amount of information that's coming in, A lot of information is being received about Kundalini phenomena, Kundalini symptoms, the expansion in the energetic anatomy, the detoxing. And like my interpretation or our interpretation of that information, I suppose more our discernment is not coming at the same rate as the information is coming in. And so that's where having a Kundalini teacher as well is hugely important, was totally beneficial for me, was a blessing. And that's very important, I think, as well. That sort of discernment and the information being at a different rate. So I want to thank you for that.
It's the Kundalini that you have to thank. But you bring up a.
I know it's the Kundalini, but it is the Kundalini that guided me to you, and it is through your Kundalini. So I know. So yeah.
So you bring up a good point, though. The discernment levels are not keeping up with the informational levels and the experiential levels that are coming. It's not all the same, and you don't get magically blessed with immediate discernment at all, because there's plenty that the Kundalini wants you to learn before that first spinal sweep. There's a huge amount of information before the first spinal sweep. So understand that, realize that, and don't be too impatient. Don't keep going for, I just want to have the spinal sweep, No. You have a lot of work to do before that even begins to come. And then when it starts to form, it is forming because of the work that you're doing. Okay, it's because you're being detoxified, detoxification is occurring. You're building towards the spinal sweep. Spinal sweep won't occur with the levels of detoxification that you have in yourself right now. And I'm speaking generally. I'm not speaking to anybody in particular. And I realize, yes, that everybody's agenda is different. But typically speaking, if you resist the detox, then you're resisting other aspects of the Kundalini as well. You got to get the stuff out. You got to get the infection out of the wound before the healing can take place. Get the infection out. Allow the Kundalini to do that for you, but respond appropriately. Gratitude and tolerance. Gratitude and tolerance. Gratitude and tolerance. One moment. I want to give a message to our Kundalini family who are sleeping. A lot of the people find a very positive, beneficial occurrence when they listen to this program as they sleep. And so here comes that communication. Hello, my friends. Sleep peaceful. Listen to your Kundalini in your dreams. She has teachings for you. She has experiences for you. Beautiful and wonderful and important. Here is a prayer to help you release any blockages you might have from hearing and interacting and seeing your Kundalini in your dream time. Ganutram Ganapati Vamahe, Kavintya Vinirupam Shivastamam, Jeshtarajam, Brahmina Brahminam, Aspata Anaha, Nasimbanu TBC the Saranam. Sleep, my friends, sleep. Om Namaha Shivaya Om. May the blessings of grace fall upon you in your dreams. Stay with you in your waking life and return to you the very next sleep period. And as we continue, I'd like to open up the phone lines once again, 347-934-0026. Looks like we're coming down to about 14 minutes left. And Santara, do you have anything you'd like to add to the program?
Well, another name for Kundalini, I feel, Chrism, is grace. We use grace a lot, but sometimes grace, Kundalini is grace, and that's her name, or that's how I feel as well. She is grace, and that's her name. Yeah.
And so that is also his name.
His name, indeed. Yes, it is. I loved as well what you said earlier in the program, or at some stage in the program. You said about Kundalini being the Maha, am I pronouncing that correctly, energy, and right. That it's Kundalini is the hand of God, and you don't get to lift the hand of God off your shoulder. And I just loved that. So I wanted to say it again because that's so true.
Well, thank you. Thank
I like
you. Thank you very much. And I'm going to go over to Rosemary here. Hi, Rosemary. Do you have anything you would like to add to the program?
It's inspiring, and it's ahead of me to come, a lot of what you've said, except what I said earlier, sensing inside things changing, which is a very gentle approach, I think.
Well, good.
And the hand of God on your shoulder was very, very touching, likewise.
No pun intended there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And, I just remembered something. I had been a chaplain for a number of years, and there was once when I prayed with a Muslim family and had asked, I always would ask if people, if they had wanted to add something of their own, and I checked with them, till I could know what was appropriate for me to say for them. And in that moment, I felt the presence of God in that room. And I remember coming out of there saying with wide-eyed to one of the nurses, I'm here to tell you it is one. And I haven't remembered that, but that truly was a moment of God's hand with me. And wow, thank you for that memory to be back.
Well, thank you for remembering it. Okay, plug in my machine in here because I'm running out of juice. There we are. Okay. All right, everyone. I want to end this program right now, and I just want to say thank you, everyone, for listening and participating and allowing this program to go forward. This is a very important program. It's hard to glissande your way through this. These detoxifications must occur. Let them occur. Let them occur. And if you have a flesh teacher, talk to them about it. See what levels of grace they can give into it, if any. And if you don't have one, talk to your Kundalini. I want to say thank you, Steve, Mike, Linda, Fashji, and Julie, who was here earlier. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you to those who are joining us in the future in the archives. Rosemary, thank you. And I'd like to say to you, Amelia Santara, John O'Connor, thank you very much for allowing this program to go forward.
You're very welcome. It's an honor for the two of us, and it's wonderful that it's been going a year and a half. I hadn't, that's fantastic, and I look forward to every week, Chris, and to every Wednesday, and I look forward again to next week. So see you then, and the listeners as well.
And thank you, Amelia. I would also like the listeners and those in the archives to spread this program around. A lot of people have Kundalini Detox, and they don't know what it is. And, in many ways, they're being misdirected by their ego and by the egos of other people. Spread this around, please, as will I, and hopefully, Amelia, you too.
Indeed, Chris, and I will.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.